Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We are Laughaholic Inc. I'm Nad Hassan, the Vice President of Supply Chain.
I'm Ayush Karkare, I'm the President.
I'm Ria Kinney, I'm Vice President.
Hi, I'm Shanisha Panda, and I'm a supply chain employee.
Hi, I'm Asfikar Rahman, and I'm also a supply chain employee.
We ran into some obstacles while running our company. These issues were important to know and improve upon, and through our reflection, we analyzed how we can improve upon them in the future. Our mission was to create an outlet for our community to enjoy and connect in a time of disparity, and it was through selling tickets for our virtual events, trivia nights. To ensure that we were assisting beyond our local community, we affiliated with the charity Convoy of Hope. Eventually, our mission and inspiration helped to build our brand, and now we're going to address the takeaways from each department, starting with marketing.
To build our brand and engage with our customers, marketing decided to focus on social media through Instagram, where we had stories, quizzes, posters, and polls. We also ran several ad campaigns where we selected different variables to target a specific audience, like people interested in Jeopardy or people between the ages of 16 and 20. Unfortunately, we failed to sell tickets through our ad campaigns. This may be due to the limited time frame in which we ran the ads or a narrow perception of who our target audience was. From a digital perspective, we successfully pivoted to a more personal approach, as in reaching out to friends and family individually. Throughout marketing's efforts, we were in constant communication with supply chain, where we updated them on trivia themes and gave them other relevant information.
Supply chain was in charge of the operation of the trivia events. We first used the market research to determine the platforms for the event, as well as each event's theme. We also created the company website where the ticket orders were executed and wrote the question sets for each event. Due to the unprecedented change of being in a virtual environment, preparing for how the event would actually run, such as having a smooth conversation between the trivia hosts during the event, was quite challenging. However, we worked diligently, even doing practice runs where we modeled interesting things to say during the event. And ultimately, we created successful trivia events that left both our customers with a memorable experience and our company with revenue, which Ayush will now elaborate upon.
Our 4 successful events resulted in $415 revenue, and with total expenses of $200, we had a net income of $215. Based off of selling 48 shares, our return on investment would have been $10. However, we decided to donate $175 to our charity, Convoy of Hope, and thus our actual return would be $5.83, which is a 16.67% return on investment. And in comparison, in the same time frame, the S&P 500 return on investment was 9.26%. Overall, the finance and sales departments learned several lessons, and so did the company as a whole, and that's exactly what Moss will cover now.
Running a company was a very rewarding experience, and from that we learned many lessons. One of the biggest lessons we learned is the need to adapt to feedback and negative experiences. For example, we received a negative feedback because our customers purchased a ticket immediately before the start of an event, which was an oversight of our processes at the time. This led to us giving the customer a refund. To prevent this from happening in the future, we made sure to check right up to the start of the future events to make sure that every customer had their Zoom link. If this company were to continue, we would try to automate the logistical process of delivering the Zoom links. In addition, we would try to continue applying the lessons we learned in the JA program while also adapting to new information as they come along. Thank you for listening to our presentation, and we look forward to your questions.
Yep, I can start with this one if you guys are okay with that. Thanks, team. Great presentation. So reviewing your statement in your annual report, so your financial statement was more detailed than most Fortune 500 annual reports that I've seen. Can someone from the finance team just talk to me a little bit about the process, what you learned from the process and digging into those financials?
Yep, so I'll answer that question. So basically what we did is the finance department, we had a Google spreadsheet where we had everything logged. We didn't have multiple spreadsheets or have multiple of them because that would make things much more complicated and much more complex. So we just tried to keep things simple. We had tabs for specific events and to track our sales in terms of selling our shares and also in terms of tickets. We used 2 things. So first we used Square integration into JotForm, which we talk about in our report. JotForm allowed us to sell tickets while also being able to track them very easily. And the same goes for shares because that was a very easy platform and it was very simple. And then we learned a lot, and it's really important that we it was really important that we tracked everything correctly. That was probably one of the biggest things we needed to remember, because there were multiple times where we miscalculated our numbers and we had to go back and go through it all over again. So if we were to continue, as Moss mentioned, we would try to automate this process as much as possible.
Great, thank you.
I'm going to ask a question. I'd love 2 or 3 people to answer if they would. If you have to look at one accomplishment, what was your biggest accomplishment from your personal perspective, what was it?
I think I can start this one off. I think in my experience, our biggest accomplishment was teamwork, because in this virtual experience, I only know one person, Nahid, but everyone else was not familiar to me. So like we worked so well together as a team. Everybody decided on everything. It was like a collaborative company. So everybody voted on stuff. And also the competition team became great friends. Like we text all the time and we prepare for stuff. So I think our teamwork was great, and it was very key to the success that we had within the company.
Yeah, and to elaborate on what Moss said, I think one of the biggest takeaways, at least for like me, was just like how much we learned from this like entire process. Like going throughout the entire event, like yeah, we made like a couple mistakes, you know, like especially with the ticket orders and things like that. But like what registered was like how much we learned from that, especially because like before this, I like never knew anything about business or shares or like any financial or anything like that. So like learning about all of this, especially with the help of like, you know, other intelligent, smart, and creative peers, was just really rewarding. It was like also really nice, especially since like, you know, I don't get to see a lot of my friends anymore. It's just like, it was really nice having this kind of interaction every week, just being able to like, you know, laugh and joke and just learn together.
Great. Jim, you want to catch a question?
Yeah, that'd be great. And I just want to acknowledge it's always difficult to stay focused and smiling when you're waiting for your turn to speak, and you guys were amazing on that. I just want to acknowledge that. So you did not do a tangible product, right? So you sold a virtual experience. Did you do any research into like licensing fees, whether it's public, you know, content or technology? Did that factor into your decision making at all?
To go off of that, our licensing, we did a trivia night, so it was the questions that we came up in. So licensing wasn't really an issue, and we use Kahoot, which is a widely known platform. So many teachers and our peers use it. So it wasn't an issue. But I think the key point where we chose between a physical product and a product virtually is shipping, and is shipping costs. And like we were trying to figure out like how would that work. And for our team, we felt that it wouldn't be the best, because everyone in this team has like we were taking AP classes, we're juniors, like it's the busiest year. So for our benefit and for company success, we thought that not having to physically ship out and just sitting is the best option for this company's success.
To elaborate on Moss's point, we actually researched into different shipping platforms for any possible tangible goods that we were doing, and we saw that our main shipping platform, USPS, had a backlog of orders. So if we were to go forward with this decision, it would have indicated that our customers would have gotten delayed products, and that might have jeopardized our company's success. So that's why we sort of went forward with the digital good, where we did not have to worry about that sort of issue rising.
Great. It must have been fascinating conversations as you were forming. Thanks for the answer.
Can you guys talk a little bit about the event itself? Have you received any feedback? And based on that feedback, would you do anything differently with your next product?
Yeah, so just to like start, like going through each event, we definitely learned a lot. You know, like one of the first things that we quickly learned was like, especially like regarding ticket orders, we learned that we should broadcast much more to like family and friends, things like that, because we started with like ad campaigns on Instagram and Facebook, and we quickly realized that that wasn't very efficient, and it was like a waste of our resources, because we wouldn't get enough orders from that. Whereas like in the later events, when we reached out more locally and personally, we received much more wider plethora of orders. And also to comment on your other question about the feedback that we received, like both personally and like through the event, we definitely received a lot of like encouraging and like good feedback. Like a lot of people told us how this was like something that like made their whole day like a lot better, and how like it was like this like ray of sunshine in their otherwise bleak day, especially with how like Zoom and being all alone in the home, it was like a nice way to have a break from that and really like get like caught up in the excitement of like, you know, trying to like win a prize, something that like they weren't like, you know, used to, especially with this entire pandemic. So yeah, we did get a lot of positive feedback, and yeah.
To just finish up the point, sorry. We also received a lot of negative feedback. I was one of the hosts along with Samiksha, and we took a lot of constructive criticism where we, the host, may have talked on a bit too long, not gone efficiently, or we just weren't funny enough. So that meant we had to do a lot of practice sessions where we wrote jokes, wrote commentary, and we practiced it to make sure that we had it perfectly for the events. So if we were to continue this in the future, I think we would have to plan out our commentary a bit more efficiently, and also make sure that we practice it enough that we know perfectly how to operate these events.
Great, thank you so much.
Excellent.
And before we finish, sorry, can I? And before we go on our break, I would just like to shout out our mentors, but especially Matt Spencer. He was the reason we did all of this. So Matt, I know you're here, and thank you for everything you've done.